Hey there, welcome to another update from the Modern Financial Advisor, brought to you by Truelytics, the one and only comprehensive advisor transition management platform. My name is Mike Langford, and this week on the podcast, I'm joined by Dan Mays, the Senior Vice President in charge of succession planning and business acquisitions at Cetera Financial Group. And Dan and I have a very vibrant conversation about this concept of advisor transition management, because Cetera is one of the largest independent broker-dealers in the world, and as such they have thousands and thousands of independent financial advisors working with them and relying on the firm. And as you might imagine, during times such as these, when there is a lot of anxiety and some concern amongst the advisor population and by extension their clients, they're looking to their broker-dealer for some guidance and some assistance, some extra help, if you will. And Cetera has, as you'll hear Dan say, risen to the call. Right? They're there with something called their resiliency pack, and Dan will tell you a little bit about what that entails. And I suspect other firms are doing similar things, but really cool to learn what Dan and the team at Cetera are doing. The other thing that's really interesting about this conversation, as you'll hear, is Dan and the team have pioneered something called the Legacy Builder program, which is built upon the Truelytics True Performance platform, and it really helps advisors kind of lock in their future, right? To kind of secure that future so they can take that worry off their shoulders, if you will. And I don't want to ruin the surprise too much, but it's really a way of allowing advisors to lock in the valuation, lock in the potential for an emergency succession should something happen to them. So really interesting stuff, and Dan will take you through all that and what the planning was in terms of putting that into place and what it means and how it's being rolled out throughout their organization. I found it absolutely fascinating. Dan was also a really fun dude to talk to. Dan and I had kind of known of each other for a while prior to recording this podcast. We'd each heard each other's name. I'm sure he'd seen me on his screen and heard the podcast, as he mentioned. But it was the first time I got a chance to talk with Dan. And so it's always nice when you get to talk to somebody for the first time who is kind of putting into action the stuff you've been talking about for the last year and a half or so on a podcast and on video. So it's really cool. And as you'll hear Dan say, he's got a long history in the industry with, in fact, his family going way back in the industry. So he kind of grew up in the space. So really cool stuff. Also, make sure you swing by blog.truelytics.com and check out Carla McCabe's latest blog post on creating an action plan for succession. Should an emergency succession be necessary, it's not enough just to have a emergency contact and a list of contacts that they should reach out to, right? You have to have a plan in place. Like, what is that person supposed to do when they unlock your emergency continuity vault? Are they just supposed to look at it? And make it up as they go along? No, you need to have a plan of action in place, kind of outlined for somebody should they need to take things over. Kind of think of it as a little plan. Have you ever had somebody come over and house sit for you? You don't just hand them the keys and say, hey, have fun, right? You usually give them some updates like, hey, here's how to work the TV, here's how to work the air conditioning and all that type of stuff. Here's the number for the lawn guy and all that other type of jazz, right? So you give them some little roadmap of how to handle the house. Well, more importantly, when it comes to your business, make sure you give the person who may have to take your business over in a tight spot a little bit of a roadmap for what they should do, which clients to call first, what do they say to certain clients? Is there little idiosyncrasies, if you will, the personalities of some clients? How do they communicate certain things with the team? Who do they talk to at the broker-dealer? What's the landlord's name? How do they reach out to that person, right? All that type of stuff. So Carla lays that all out in her blog post. Really good stuff, okay? As always, make sure you do like and subscribe to the podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all those good places. Subscribe to it and make sure you leave a comment or a like. That would be wonderful. Share it out via the socials. We love seeing that. And if you have questions or suggestions for guests or topics you want to see on the show, please hit us up, podcast@truelytics.com, or you can swing by truelytics.com and leave a comment there. Or again, on the socials, we're Truelytics on LinkedIn, Facebook, and the Twitters. And also on the YouTube. It's really interesting. We are publishing each one of these episodes over on YouTube as well. So if you're the type of person who likes to have YouTube on in the background playing stuff, you can do that as well. Okay? Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we will talk to you next week on the Modern Financial Advisor video update and podcast. Have a good one. See ya. Bye.